Hey, my name is Sean. Welcome to Echoes in Eternity Bourbon. Have you ever felt just a great disturbance?
If millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced, I fear something terrible has happened.
So, as you may or may not know, I am a big 13th Colony fan. I'm fanboy. I mean, I got all the little stuff here, got all their bottles, got their Glens. I mean, it's a perfect day, Saturday, to have an amazing pour. This year's batch 2 double oaked, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And I'll have some sips of this as I go through something. And I'm usually not one to want to, I want to review and I like to do some hunts and I like to have some discussions, this, that, or the other. But I really kind of got bent out of shape with an article. And I realized I'm a fan of this company and I'm a fan of the people there. And, I was going through the Discord and I was struggling with this article. This is an article that came out from Bourbon Culture. The author is Mike and Mike. I don't know if his first name is Mike and his last name is Ann Mike, or maybe it's a pseudonym for something. I don't know. Didn't want to put their name down. Put your name out, put your chest out with the article. I don't know. But I read this article and I went through, and it's really about 180 degrees from what I've experienced when I've been to 13th Colony. Now, I don't know their master distiller, Graham. I don't know the owners, but I have very good communication and very cordial and friendly communication all the time with three people there. Danielle, she handles a lot of their marketing and she's been fantastic and communicative through everything. And Megan and Brian. Megan does the tours out there. Brian handles a lot of the day-to-day stuff out there, the shipping, a lot of the warehouse stuff and logistics. And every one of them have, treated me fantastic. I've been out there 5 different times this year. That's just how much I enjoy not only the product, but them. It helps that they're probably only an hour and 15 minutes from me, but I really enjoy the people. And anytime I've ever had a question, they've always been straightforward with it. Now, have they ever paid me for anything? Nope. Have I ever gotten a free bottle of anything? No. But like I said, the way that they've always handled their business to me has been forthright. And my dad was always big on preaching something, that a person has two things in life: your name and your word. And if one doesn't mean anything, then neither does the other. So it brought me back to this article and I read through it and I'm like, and if you know me in any sense of the way, I don't prep for anything really. I just get up here and start opening things and telling you what I think about it, and here's what my thoughts are. I don't prep on nothing. I mean, I'm really fly by the seat of my pants when I get in front of the camera. One take and you get what you get. And hopefully sometimes it makes some sense. Man, that smells good. But I also know that I can get heated about things. And so I said, okay, I went into, you know, our community on Discord and I started asking some questions and started asking for feedback. And I'm like, look, if I'm being unreasonable, let me know. If I'm reading this the wrong way, let me know. I'm one of those hilt guys that if you're on my team, if you're a friend or somebody that I trust or this, that, and the other, I'm going to follow the sword all the way to the hilt. So I'm falling on the hilt on this one. So I just wanted to review some things from the article. The author made some different points, and I don't want to say accusations, but I mean the wording in the language kind of really means accusations to me. But like I said, I know I have rose-colored 13th Colony Americus Georgia glasses on. But the first thing that got me, and one of the first points, is very likely 13th Colony never bottled and sold their own distillate, period. So I'm like, well, I've been there 5 times this year. I've been there while they've done mash. I've seen their working operations, and I know for a fact that they do produce whiskey there. And I have seen it. I've smelt it. I've been around it. So I know that they do those things there. So, the author goes into some other different things that, and we'll get farther into that. Maybe they just fire this up, but it's not what they do. This is not who they are. And I'm like, well, okay, all I can tell you is from what I saw, this is what they do. I've been there 5 times. And also in that first portion that says there's no videos of them actively fermenting. Okay, check out this video. So I guess the following video is fake also. I mean, I don't know what to tell this person. Honestly, I'm just like, okay, they posted out there. I've physically been there. I've physically seen the way they do things. And nowhere in the article is it stated I've talked to anybody there or I've physically been there, which to me it just rubs me the wrong way. If I'm doing an investigative piece on something and I'm making heavy claims against somebody, the first thing I'd do is I'd pick up the phone and say, hey, can I come visit your distillery? Can we talk about some things? I'm curious. You don't have to tell them up front that you're trying to slam them, but at least you could say, hey, I'd like to ask a few questions, or is there a way to come visit? Maybe it's not physically or financially possible for that person, but picking up the phone and calling or emailing a responsive team is pretty simple to do. Just my thoughts. So, number 2, do not believe 13th Colony bottles you see in stores actually has their whiskey in them. So they make whiskey there. I've seen it. They bottle whiskey there. I've been a part of that. I've seen the belt lines. This I haven't actually physically seen them bottling it, and I didn't physically see the barrels that it came out of. But in conversations, with people that are also in communication with 13th Colony, everything that they're currently doing is their own. They did everything there. They mashed it, they distilled it there, they did everything there, bottled it there. So to me, you never reached out and asked anybody except made an assumption. And I'm a little more old school and I know what happens when you make an assumption. So, everything that they've got currently on the shelf, except for the sour mash, which they currently, it's stated on the label that it was made in Wyoming. Man, I almost went Wisconsin there. In Wyoming. And I'll put pictures of it up there. But it said, this was done in Wyoming, but all the aging was done in Georgia. And because they have a big belief in that climate cycle there, what it does to bourbon. I have a big belief in it too. So I was like, I don't know what else to tell this person. I've talked to people. I know what I've seen. I know that they do their own juice there. But it goes back to number one, they've probably never bottled anything there from their own distillate, and none of the juice on the shelf is theirs, which, I think a couple of phone calls or asking some people would have probably helped that. This one's going to be fun for me. The Wayback Machine. So I love that this person uses the Wayback Machine to figure out exactly what's gone on with 13th Colony. So the Wayback Machine, and I'm not a technically super savvy guy, is this thing that he uses to look at the websites to see when something else had old had been out there and go through things. And to me, it's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo and sound and fury signifying absolutely nothing. But, he talks about in there, they never put on this. They never talked about that they're sourcing anything. They're never doing that. And this person's apparently got some really good technical skills. I'm not taking that away. But I guess the first thing that I would have looked at is their website. And what is the first question on their frequently asked questions? And it's like, do you distill all your own stuff? And they clearly state on there. It says Due to the demand, we were forced to contract distill to supplement volume needed to meet demand. So everything that they've done has been their own juice, their own stuff up until they got to a demand was so high, people really started understanding how good 13th Colony was that they said, man, I need to get me some of that. And it was more than their production could handle. Yes, they had some small stills, but they're increasing things. They're increasing size. But making whiskey, bourbon, it takes time. And you can't go back in time and say, man, 3 years from now, we're going to be booming and make that whiskey. So they've started growing. So what did they do? They sourced some stuff based on their mash bills that'll still be aged in Georgia to help supplement this as they're building up their bigger systems over time. And they stated that right there on their website. First frequently asked question. And the Wayback Machine, like I said, I'm not technically savvy enough to understand all that, but I do know that, they've updated their website this year. They're moving into a new generation or a new era in their business, and they're having to learn a lot of stuff. And so they updated their website. But if you'd have clearly just looked at the website, it might have helped maybe give you some answers ahead of time instead of going full in that, they're lying to you or this, that, and the other, which kind of bothered me. Because like I said, personally, I take it personally. I've taught with and dealt with a lot of people there. Upstanding people, in my opinion. Like I said, I'm falling on the hilt on that one, all the way to the hilt. As you can tell, I'm not a notes person when I do this, so this really bothered me. So, number 4, golly, this number 4 just makes me, I'm like, wow, this guy's super smart. Virtually no online complaints. So the point is since there's virtually no online complaints, this cannot be a craft distillery. Because of their pricing, people aren't complaining about them. And when he looks at probably mid-level people, probably a lot better than me, they go back and they say, he can read their body language. He understands their language. So he has that mental connection and he knows exactly what they're meaning and saying there. I'm not that good. I wish I was that good. I mean, I'll post a few things later about what my foundation is on something like that. But, this guy, he's got to be top notch because he can read people's body language and the way they verbalize things to tell him exactly what they mean. I'm not that good. What I say, I mean, and I hope it doesn't come off arrogant or ignorant, but if I say, hey, I like this, I like this. If I don't like it, I don't like it. Sometimes, yeah, you could probably tell the expression on my face when I found something that just blows me away or something that's like, wow, why did I put that in my mouth? But I try to verbalize that as well. But this person has really got it down to, I know exactly what everyone's saying, how they're saying it, and what their body expressions are. So I am impressed. He is an expert in kinesis and also the English language. The one thing on there that gets me the most, and this is where I'll come back to my training. And I know I'm old, and I know that I'm not as smart as a lot of people. If I'm ever the smartest person in the room, please drag me outside and beat me because I don't want to be in that room. But I studied kinesis and body language and things like that too with the GBI and FBI. I'll put some of the documents there through some of my college training on some of the stuff that I did. And the one thing that he says is that this is not a hit piece or an assassination piece, but if you clearly read through the language, that's exactly what it is. It's very direct. You guys are lying or passive aggressive and things like that. I mean, if 13th Colony truly made their own whiskey, all craft distilleries should move to Americus, Georgia, and copy everything they do. That's kind of a passive aggressive. You've already called them out. You've called them a liar on things. You're passive aggressive with things. It is a hit piece. I mean, I can't qualify that any other way. And maybe I'm just not intelligent enough to qualify that any other way. So maybe you could help me with that. One thing on here that really gets me, and it leads me back to that, a person has two things in life. They have their name and their word. And if one thing means nothing, neither does the other. So clearly he states Their legacy is tainted by lying by omission on the source of their whiskey, which leads me to believe, what are you omitting in your article? I like to go through the why things. And maybe, you guys can help me figure it out. I'm not trying to understand what was in this person's mind when they wrote the article, but here's some of the questions that I have coming back to this article. Why did the author of the article never reach out to 13th Colony? In any kind of an investigative piece, you want to ask the source, hey, can you tell me what's going on here? In everything I've read in the article and everything I've seen subsequently, this person did not want to reach out. So there's a reason behind that, but I digress. And I'll tell you that they're very easy to talk to. I know the author was encouraged to reach out to 13th Colony and get some of those answers from them, but the author decided that they did not want to do that. So it leads me to make me wonder why, again, would you not want to speak to the actual source? You want to write about them, but you don't want to talk to them. That makes me question the motives behind why are you choosing not to talk to the people. Second point is, why did the author who was relayed information about 13th Colony prior to releasing that article never try to confirm that information? And so I think there's a responsibility that if you're going to publish something, say something, there should be some kind of a journalistic integrity there. First, maybe you need to talk to the subject of the article. Even if they say no comment or pound sand, at least you've got something. Second is, if other people are telling you, hey, this is what I'm being told, why would you not follow up and ask those questions prior to that article being released? Which leads me back to, the article was already written in your mind and it did not fit with the narrative. The narrative is they aren't this, this, and this. But instead of, oh, if I ask these questions, I have to change my narrative, I'm just going to write a story, but I'm not going to write the whole story. I'm going to write my version of the story, which then, questions me back to why. And so the third why is, why say it's not a hit piece when all of your language calls for them to be dishonest and you're very passive aggressive in the way that you handle the language? They're dishonest. They're, what was it when, if you ever want to craft spirits, if they're doing this, which I highly doubt, you must go to Americus, Georgia. You must do this, you must do that. I don't believe that any of their juice is in their bottle. I don't believe they do any distilling there. All that stuff there. And that just bothered me. It's like, why are we even doing this? Why are we having this discussion? If you're not willing to talk to them, if you're not willing to listen to what other people are telling you, and then you just want to go out and be hateful and saying you're not being hateful, that's not right. I'm just saying, maybe, like I said, I know I have 13th Colony rose-colored glasses on. But everything that I've seen in your article doesn't match up what I've seen personally. And you haven't been there. You haven't talked to anybody. And you just want to slam them. And I know they're so classy that they probably won't even relay to you what they think about this article, because all you've done is scorched earth on them. Last portion of this, and maybe it's just minutia at this point, and I get it. Sometimes those things happen. But if you're truly trying to have journalistic integrity, outside of you not listening to your other sources or people that maybe have information, outside of never reaching out to the actual distillery, inferring how you want this article to be written, which it is a hit piece, why not have journalistic integrity enough to credit your sources? So why do I say that? Well, you didn't credit me. I clearly know that an article of mine was brought up to look at some of the facilities there. I clearly know you used a picture from one of my videos in that thing, which you're discrediting them on. You didn't say anything about where you got it from. So to me, it shows that there's, like I said, I don't know your mindset. I don't know what the mindset of the author is. To me, it just fails and fails and fails and fails. So at the end of the day, I honestly don't know what you were trying to do. Maybe you were wanting clickbait. Maybe you're wanting more subscribers to bourbon culture. I don't know, Mike and Mike. That's for you to figure out, not for me to figure out. But also, audience, it's for you to figure out. I guarantee, and I can say this with 100% certainty, if you go back and look through Mike and Mike's articles on bourbon culture, you will find errors. Because the way that this was done, my son would have done a better job. You will find errors. And if you find those errors and that person has shown you who they are, remember the person has two things, their name and their word. One ain't good, the other ain't good. If they've shown you who they are, why waste your time on them anymore? But like I said, my tantrum's over for today. It's Saturday. I'm ready to watch some football, hopefully hang out with a friend today, have a nice meal. But most importantly, I thank you for your time. Sorry about the rant today. I had to get that off my chest. And I'm telling you, any of you that I consider a friend, I would do the exact same thing for. Like I said, I'm falling on the sword to the hilt. And then I'm telling you, we're still fighting. It's just the way it is. But most importantly, if you're working today, I hope your work day goes by fast. I hope your off day goes by slow. Cheers and God bless. Y'all have an amazing day. Look at the penetration on that barrel. That is absolutely amazing.
Cooking wise. So it goes into the mouth.
This morning, went through Albany first to check out. We got it.
So it makes it worse.
I didn't mean that. I put my hand over his eyes and closed them and he's like, you sleepy. You went like a little animal that tears together. It's like, I said, why are you looking at me?
I think that's okay, but
One of the owner's daughters were dating at the time, and he said, y'all want to come work? And he said, sure, why not? So he now gives us 4 people. They can do it with 3, but it runs a little bit smoother with 4. So they do, it runs through those, it cleans them out real good. Places to age alcohol. Because we have such humidity drops and things like that, so our temperature will go up and down to 20 degrees in a day. Now, as a personally, I don't love it. I don't like sweating and then wearing a sweater on the same day. But the barrels breathe, so they expand and contract so believe that, like I said, bourbon only comes from Kentucky. And that was a really cool marketing thing that all of the distilleries up there did. But the truth is, it has to be in a virgin white oak barrel and have to have a certain mash bill to it. And that's what makes it a bourbon or rye or whatever size. That is sold out for the last everybody.
They've got chars up there on the wall. And then as you get to go outside of that room, you get to see basically how they start all the process, where the mash is done, how they've got their tanks set up in there. As you come in here, then you'll get to see some of the pots and things like that. They also make amazing gin here, and they do a fantastic job with vodka too. So, you know, they're more than just a one-stop shop for whiskey, but they do some other neat stuff in here. As you start to come through here, back that way is where they're going to have the bottling process. But I believe I turn back around here to kind of look at some other stuff real quick. Yeah, so you see the other side of the room. So you can see some of the stills and things like that. You'll see that these are newer barrels, you know, because they've double cast these for that double oak. And this is all the production that they'll have for 2025 and 2024. And people are always wondering, why do they not have more of this? Why do they not have a lot more? It takes time to make this.
And when they started this, it was kind of like one of those happy little mistakes that had occurred. And now that they found out, wow, this is pretty awesome and people really like this, they're doing everything that they can to make sure that they're putting out as good a quality, if not better, every year. But that was their 2024 and 2025 supply for Double Oak. That right there is a monster. That is a 3,300 gallon tank that they've upgraded from a 500, I think, to 1,500 to now